WJG Sports. We journal great.
What's going on, everybody? Wherever you may be watching, this is the Just Like Brothers podcast, episode 52. Of course, my name is Laika Abibi, aka Striker. With me in Goldsboro, the very toxic Kai Jones, after listening to Future's new album. And our special guest today, former Hooper at Pitt Community College, ECU alum like ourselves, and videographer extraordinaire, Benji Bello, a.k.a. Hoops HQ. Benji, thank you for joining us, bro.
Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
We'll get right into it, man. So how did you get your start in basketball coverage and videography?
How did
How did it all start?
How did this? So I think it was. I know in high school there was a period in which they were testing out a broadcasting club. I was formerly in the art society, and so they were just like, "Oh yeah, maybe it'd be cool if some of us tried to check it out." And I started doing that, and some of the games we would play, I would just bring the camera, set it up, and I would chop up the clips. At that time I was really big in like hoop mixtape and everything like that, and elite mixtape. Shout out to Bryce.
Yeah, that's my guy.
So I would like just chop up some of the game highlights, and of course, other guys of the team loved it. And then after a while, we started putting it on the school news. So it started getting kind of fun from that. And then like, I think when I really started the Hoops HQ was when, just kind of down the line, I would just put some of those clips on like just YouTube, just for people to watch them, and so everyone in school could kind of see the stuff. And then I think when it started to take off was like I was just doing that every once in a while for fun. I think I was I was at a tournament with Ghana Road. I went down at the time. That was the squad they had with Mike Karu, Thomas Allen, other guys. Those are my guys. So I went down with them. Forget which tournament. I think it was Vegas. As a matter of fact, I think I went with them to Vegas. And in Vegas, and I was just there, and I was just helping get film for Mike, and then I was chopping it up, and that's when I kind of met more of the coaches and everything like that, and then I dropped a couple of those videos. They were like, "Hey, come check us out over the summer league," and then the summer league is when I started getting a lot more traction. Just started doing it a little bit more in my free time, and then it just started picking up from there. And yeah.
So, you were doing that as you were actually in basketball, correct?
Yeah, I was still playing, and whenever I wasn't currently playing and maybe getting footage from my teammates, something like that, I was just at one of my friends' games or just checking out some of the local talent and just bringing the camera with me.
Okay, so, how did, Pitt Community come into the fold for you to play there?
Okay. So the funny story about my basketball career is another reason why I think I was just so big I was into like the arts, like I was doing plays and I said, of course, art society and of course the broadcasting, because basketball was cool, but I used to hate basketball actually. Like when I was younger, like my dad actually played. He went to school with Manute Bol, and he would just, of course, try to get me to play, and I was like, Dad, I don't like this game. It was too difficult for me. And then I don't know, all my friends when we moved to North Carolina were playing basketball, and I was like, I had nothing to do. During like recess, we had recess. I was like, I had nothing to do because all my friends are playing basketball. So I was like, I gotta try and play basketball. Of course, I wasn't good, but it was fun. That's what started getting more fun to me because I was playing with my friends, and then I think it was eventually they just convinced me to try out, and of course I wasn't good at the time, so I got cut, and I think a couple of my friends got cut, but I think that was what kind of started it because I didn't like that feeling. I was like, ugh. Even though I knew I wasn't good, I was like, I didn't like this, so I just started kind of putting my head down, and over time I just kind of got cool with the coaches when I got to high school, and started training and eventually in high school is when I started making the team. But came in high school, I was 5'1" as a freshman, which I guess isn't too unheard of. But of course, I was really small, really unathletic, and I was just learning and just would just go train every day, and then eventually, it was about my senior year. I hit a really big growth spurt. So I think up to that point, I wasn't too. I wouldn't say like I was a big player on the team. Obviously, I was like 5'9" my senior year, and we had a couple other guys that were some pretty solid recruits. One of my guys, Demetrius, he ended up playing at Shawan. Will Walker, before he got some injuries, he was a really big name when he was playing with Garner Road, and he had some big interest. And so we had a pretty solid squad, and I was just kind of maybe the sixth, seventh man, just come in and play my role. But then I think I hit a mean growth spurt like right in the end of senior year. Played a couple AAU tournaments at the end of senior year, and I just started picking up some JUCO interest. I remember Charles Clark. I don't know if he remembers. He came to one of my games. And matter of fact, that game I had like game-winning turnover. Like I turned it over, and they came down. Eventually, got fouled, and they ended up winning the game. I remember that, and I was so hurt because I was like, man, the scout came in. I mean, I think he wrote about me, but I mean, obviously I had a game-winning turnover, but that so that wasn't cool to me. But it was like that tournament. I think I got cool with. I got in contact with Coach Mullins. He ended up contacting me. No, it wasn't Coach Mullins. It was Coach Ford. Coach Ford, and then he got me in contact with Coach Mullins. And then at that time, it was a couple of junior colleges that I was thinking about, or maybe a couple Division II, Division III schools that I was thinking about. And they just kind of gave me the opportunity. We're like, okay, we can. Like I said, at that time, I was still kind of filling out. I was getting my height, starting to get a little more size, getting more athletic, everything like was starting to come together. So they were like, look, we can help you out. And of course, at the time, that seemed like a better option too. Just get a little bit of a ways away from home and try to create my way. So that's kind of how I got in contact with them. I went to a couple of the workouts. Workouts were challenging, but I really love that because any workout I went to prior to that, it just like at that point I was a workaholic, and I didn't feel like I was being challenged anywhere else. So I remember that workout, and we always joke about Coach Ford in his drills, but that was definitely like something that was really challenging. And I think that was one of the things that kind of sold me. And just of course, Coach Mullins is as real as he keeps it. I think that was one of the things that kind of kept me and made me make that decision to go over there.
Right. So that's an interesting story when you consider, you didn't really like basketball. Then you find out you love it. So what was...
And you're good at it, first of all. And you're good at it.
Yeah. And you got good at it. So what was the kind of the process, like, would you say, of kind of falling in love with the game to the point where you think you want to play collegiately?
Yeah, I think like one of the things I think early on motivated me was just, like I said, just being unsuccessful at it. Like I got a cut in like middle school, but I knew I wasn't good. I remember I was on one of my dad's teams. He coached a rec team, and I remember I used to beg him to not put me in a game, and he put me in one game. We were winning by like 30 points or something like that, and I was kind of pouting out. I didn't want to be in there, and I was kind of like not playing defense, and so I was kind of leaking out, and I was wide open. They gave me the ball, getting down, go up for the layup. I missed the layup, get the rebound, miss the layup again, miss it. And if I finally make it, and I hear the crowd cheering, I'm like, this is kind of nice.
I can definitely relate to that. Coming off the bench, up 30, down 30, missing wide open layups. All I do is shoot threes, and I'm like this big kid. So, but to continue, the fact that your YouTube channel and your popularity has kind of grown, not just in your hometown, but in Greenville is kind of where you started. So how did you get started around here in terms of covering games out here?
So like I said, as I kind of got to Pitt, and I was, like, of course, at that time, just focused on playing, working out, seeing what my next options were going to be. The coaches would always ask me about guys, of course, when they were looking to possibly recruit some guys, if I knew this guy and what was his character like, or how was he like on the court or whatever. I knew some of the guys. Then, like I said, I was of course at the same time kind of working the videography thing. So I was showing up at a lot of events, working with AAU teams and things like that. So I knew a lot more players as well. So at the same time, I was just kind of checking out games, and sometimes I would be like, oh well, I got a little bit of stress relief. Post practice, something like that. Let me go check out some of the local guys because prior to me going to Pitt, I don't think I had been to too many games in that area, so I kind of liked checking out some of the guys out there. And of course, some of the guys on the team were like, "Man, you got to check out this guy, and that guy." And of course, you get. I know y'all probably see all the DMs from guys. It's like, "Hey, man, you can check me out, check me out." All the coaches that are like, "Hey, come check us out." So I took up some of those offers, and I was like, "Okay, let's see." And it's when I kind of got into that, and of course, I met a lot of the guys just that were interested in going to Pitt or just around, just playing basketball and training and things like that. And by that, I would just kind of check out some of the games. So that's kind of how I got into some of the guys. I think I met Trey too. I think because I think he came to one of our games. He would always kind of keep me updated too about like the local talent from there as well. Shout out to Hoop Farm.
Yes, sir, absolutely. Former guest of this show, and a good friend of ours. Of course, what have been some of the craziest things you've seen over covering videography? Like for videography, what are some of the best moments you've seen out there on basketball court?
In terms of like highlights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, you put me on the spot. Now I gotta like replay everything I've seen in my head. Probably
You've seen some crazy stuff.
Things. Probably Dennis Smith. That dude was crazy. Seeing him play in game and then like seeing him play in person, because the funniest thing is one of the guys on our team, he's like really close with Dennis. So well, when we were playing at Pitt, so he would come down to Pitt a lot, and sometimes we would play, and I'm just like, man, seeing this guy in person, I was like, yeah. Just like as athletic as it was, like just that quick twitch. Because I knew a lot of guys that could jump, but like as quick as he could, that was like, whoa. Just seeing that in person, it was like you never like you sleep. So I think him like just in person, that was crazy. But video wise, it definitely, of course, Dennis. Just plays like guys getting dunked on. I've seen guys getting crossed. Part of the craziest things I think I've seen are always like somebody's reactions. I think is always the funniest part. The funniest part of make, miss, crazy highlight or not. It's always to see somebody's reaction, whether it's somebody in the crowd, the coach, or something like that. Is always funny.
Right. So how did your career at Pitt go? You know, success wise and playing wise.
Oh yeah. So when I first got there, I started a little bit late because I remember I was like wavering between Wake Tech and Pitt, and I had started workouts at Wake Tech, and then, like I said, just kind of checking out Pitt's workouts, I decided that might have been the better place for me. It was a little bit farther away. I could kind of break out of my shell a little bit, and that's when I started going to Pitt. But at that point, I had already, I think it was right near that ad drop date or whatever, so I didn't get to officially move in. I didn't get officially moved into Pitt until like October. I think I was like starting off the beginning of the year. I was taking classes like online, just communicating with teachers like that, just see if they could email me the stuff. And so but when I finally moved in, everything was pretty smooth. But at that point, I had already, I think, had missed a certain amount of in class days, so I had to sit out for at least the first semester just to get everything cleared. And that was kind of cool because I was just able to kind of learn from practice wise. And then like, so the first year was it was all right. I only played ended up playing the second semester, and we were pretty solid. I think we lost to Lewisburg in the conference tournament. Like
it
the
was
final
the second
game.
round, I believe.
The second round? Yeah, because they played
LCC.
LCC in the championship?
No, I was talking about Lenore before that, wasn't it?
I think we beat, who did we beat first? I think we beat Vance first.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Well, I actually
Remember that. I just remember losing to Louisburg. I remember we were on a roll, and I just remember losing to Louisburg.
Yeah. By the way, I actually have it pulled up right here. Look, I don't know if you actually saw it on the camera at first, but I pulled it up. It's a nice picture of you, buddy.
Oh man.
But
Yeah.
it said y'all lost to Louisburg and then beat Lenore and then lost to Louisburg again. I think that's how.
Yeah.
But
And yeah, so the first year was just kind of rocky, getting my feet wet. I was learning everything, getting adjusted to college. The shot clock was definitely a difference.
Facts.
Yeah. Second year, that's when everything got a little crazy. Just injuries upon injuries. I remember it was like the first little tournaments over the summer. A couple guys were injured, and we just got to watch. But we had a talented team. I think my second year, I played I think I started playing about the third game, and I think our core, and we were just, I think at the beginning of the year just trying to figure out what meshed, and then we started off kind of rough, and I remember we had a really good run. I think everyone started kind of catching their groove, and we even kind of figured out what kind of worked best because we were mixing and matching. Because I remember I was starting at first. It was me and a couple other guys were starting at first, but our offense didn't look the same as when we all kind of flip flopped. When we put some of the guys that came off the bench, we put them starting, and then some of the guys that were starting, we came in as a second group, and I think that worked a little bit better for us. And we went on like a 10, 11 game winning streak, something like that, and everyone was pretty good. I remember it was, of course, our point guard Jaquan was killing, and then we had Deontay Jones. He was a flamethrower, and so everyone else just kind of did their role. I think everyone just was good. Everyone came in and provided something, and so that was pretty good. Just a lot of injuries. I remember LCC. That's when I got a hairline fracture in my wrist in that game, and hip contusion. So I tried to dunk on somebody and out the air.
You hurt your hand trying to dunk on someone?
Yeah, I went up and he kind of went up with me, and I guess he was like, maybe not, and just kind of pushed me. I fell on my wrist and my hip. So, but I know then of course when it's one of those things that in the moment you're like, that hurt, but your coach is like, are you good? And you're gonna be like, yeah, I'm good, while you're limping to and everything. So I kind of was like, yeah, I'm good. And then I think as the dust kind of settled, towards the end of the game, I'm starting to, oh my gosh, I'm starting to feel it, my wrist getting really swollen, my hip is swelling up. And then after the game, I noticed a big ball on my wrist, and I ended up having to go to physical therapy, and the doctors told me I had a hairline fracture.
Jeez, that hurts. That hurts.
Yeah.
I had to have been adrenaline or something, right?
Yeah, the adrenaline was running. Like I said, I tried to dunk on somebody, so I'm like, and then, LCC and Pitt, they're kind of rivals. Yeah. So
Highway 11, of course.
Exactly, yeah. So the crowd is into it. We're like, I'm gonna keep playing.
That 17 Pitt team won 23 games. I just looked it up. It was pretty good.
Solid. The second year, we won. I think we won something similar to that, but with that year, that was a stressful year. Because, of course, personally with injuries and everything like that, but we had ineligible, guys that were just ineligible, that kind of were knowledgeable with the stuff they were doing, either academically or and everything like that, not going to class but not notifying anybody, and all that took in. And it was I think there's a period of time where you can get away with it, but then there's a period where they do the audits, or when all the teachers submit grades. So every maybe the end of the week. So that was a week, and it happened. And I think a coach protested, and they were like, "Oh, this guy wasn't eligible." And then there was a small fine print of another player we had transfer in that it was something that he missed in his transfer protocol, and so we when eligible for the games he played. So we ended up we went on like a 12, 13 game winning streak, and a lot of them games got taken back.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that kind of ruined us. I mean, we were able to still get to the conference playoffs, but it really messed us up seeding wise and of course record wise, and it had a couple of guys frustrated, especially the sophomores, that we were putting in all this, and then got guys that were like me that I guess were sacrificing to come off the bench, and then all that happened. And so it was a little bit more of a stressful year that year, but definitely fun because great team, everybody like that, and it's pretty good in overall.
Right, and then we look at it afterwards. You went to ECU, of course. We talked about you graduated from there. Were you trying to play there, or were you just like, you know what, I need to take a break from basketball, or what was it?
Yeah, so kind of like during that year at Pitt, like I said, with things going the other way when we were getting to game taken back, injuries, it was of course getting a little bit stressful for me. I had a couple options to play at some schools, some D3, some D2 schools. We had some D1 schools coming and looking. They were more so interested in our point guard, and I personally at that point, somewhat selfish, I just wanted to go somewhere where I could kind of do me, I guess, for the last 2 years. So that was kind of, I really wanted to look more, a little bit. If I wanted to go anywhere at that point, like I said, you only have 2 years left. I wanted to go out there and have my freedom. So that was the biggest thing. And I originally was thinking about going to school in Charlotte, and then loved the campus, loved the coaching staff. It was interesting that one of the coaches, the head coach actually, had coached against my dad, so they had a whole little reuniting moment for them. So it was really great. One of my high school teammates played over there. Talked great things about the school. That was the school I wanted to be at. Their leading scorer, who was playing my position, had left, and the coaches were like, "You can come in and fill his spot." But like I said, at that time, I was going through a lot of issues with injuries, so I know I was probably going to have to sit out for a little bit. And then additionally, it was like they were dragging their feet a little bit with the scholarship process. Like I was supposed to have gotten a full, but it was a private school, so there was like some small little nuances that we had to get worked out, and I was just like, well, I'm hurt, and with this going on, it just maybe was just like, okay, I know kind of the ECU area. Maybe I'll just take a year off and play, and just stay in the area over here at ECU. And then at that, I just kind of fell in love with the ECU environment. After a while, I wasn't really playing basketball. I don't know. Like I said, it was kind of a kind of year for me when it came to basketball. And then so at that point, I was just kind of reconsidering if I even wanted to play anymore. But a lot of the guys I met were really like, man, we know that I know you from Pitt, and I know you're pretty good. And then every once in a while, I would go to the gym and play with some of the guys there, and they were like, you should try to play here. So I was thinking about it, but that was when I know they were going through that coach transition, and that was also when I was kind of iffy about what the new team was going to be looking like, and I didn't know what the plans were for everything. So at that point, I was just like, maybe I can just worry about graduating.
Right. What was that emotional process like of, kind of leaving basketball behind and kind of jumping more into your creative side?
Yeah, and I think that was additionally what kind of pushed me when it came to the Hoops HQ thing. So I think that year when I wasn't playing basketball, I tell some of the kids, I'm like, watching some of these kids play was just, I think, what kind of kept me in that basketball, like that love for the game, because I was like, I wasn't able to play because I was going through those injuries, and of course with the school situations, I wasn't able to play. So just being able to live vicariously through a lot of these kids, I think was like a great experience for me. So it definitely kept me coming back and forth to a lot of these games, and that was the extra, I think, push I needed to kind of just be in that basketball area, just kind of being there, just watching a lot of them kids. So it was really tough for me just because I had worked so hard to get to this place. Like I said, like just a few years prior to this, I wasn't even playing basketball. So it was just, I worked so hard to get to this place, and it just all kind of dawned on me that I was like, wow, it can really just be taken from you like that. And it was pretty tough, and it was like a really weird adjustment, I think. That year I just wasn't playing. I just didn't kind of know what what I was doing. Like I think that was the extra drive that I had. Like when it was schoolwork, I was always a really good student. Um, but it was just like I don't know. I feel like I had just had too much free time. I didn't really have anything to go for because when you're playing sports, you're kind of like okay, the extra little push was, hey, if you do good, of course you're gonna remain eligible. But I mean, that was never really an extra incentive, I guess, for me because my mom, she was always on my head about that. So but I don't know. It was definitely a little tough adjustment trying to get used to not playing and kind of figuring out what to do. And like that's why I said I think the videos were my kind of a good way to release, just checking out all this talent in the area.
What kind of advice would you give? I mean, because every single basketball player and anybody who plays sports, eventually they're gonna have to stop playing. There's gonna be a time where they have to. What would be your advice to someone who is either dealing with that now or knows that they're gonna be dealing with that process in a few years?
Good question.
Mm. So a lot of the guys that I do meet when I'm talking to them, I always talk about, and I hate to be that old head because I was always the guy that'd be like, "What is this guy talking about?" But just have other options, or and then at the same time make the most of your experience because I think like they always say, it's gonna fly by. You're not gonna have your young legs and everything like that forever. Like I said, regardless if you're going to the NBA or if you're just playing for fun, like there's always, like you said, there's gonna be a point where you're gonna have to put the ball down. I think just make the most of it. Relinquish, take advantage of all those opportunities that you have when it's the people that you're meeting and the friends and all the relationships that you create, as well as all the moments. If you get in there and score a point, if you get in there and get a stop, just take advantage of that and just really live in that moment, because you never know how long it'll last. So, and then of course, kind of just maybe like we said, basketball or football or whatever may not be the only thing that you have going on for you. There may be a lot of other talents or other things that you may tap into that you may enjoy as well.
For you, what is it like now? Going to a gym and playing against guys who might not have ever made it to the junior college level, trying to play against them now.
Oh, he's schooling them.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that I think kind of got me back into basketball. It was just I think just having fun with the guys whenever I'm playing again. So it's definitely fun getting in there and just kind of working on some moves and trying to make some highlight plays. And that's why I think I kind of one of my buddies that was working out. I was working out with him for a little bit. He kind of forced me to be always dragging me back to the gym after all this little time period when I would stop hooping. He would drag me to the gym all the time, be like, "Look, man, you can make some videos out of it." And I'm like, "Okay, maybe we can make some videos." And it started getting fun. I would post maybe a highlight or two of it, and guys would hit me up, or I would go to somebody's game and they'd be like, "Man, I saw that video of you playing, man. You should post more, post more." And I think it was like I said, I normally travel with G Road, and those guys would be on my head about it because they would always talk trash to me, and they would be like, we would talk all this trash. They're like, "Man, I would bust you or cross you," and then they saw some of the videos. They're like, "Whoa, you kind of good, man." And then so like every once in a while, I would end up playing with some of them guys, and that I think was the kind of part of it that made it pretty fun too. Just getting back in the gym and just kind of making highlights, having fun.
You're one of the few videographers I know that's also a bucket, like real talk. So and there are others too. I mean, Trey's the same way.
Yeah, me and Trey, man, Trey always mad at me
go to the rec and cook everybody, bro. I'm telling you.
It always happens, and neither one of us has a camera. Every time we end up linking up and playing, because I remember there was one day it was like me, Trey, Reek, Tyreek Dupree, WGMI, Reek, and a couple other guys, and we were just going like we were like. I probably was some of the best basketball we ever played, and I'm so mad. We always talk about like we never bring a camera, so we definitely gotta start getting it on film some of these days.
Hey, I got you. If you, I'll tell you right now. I'll pull up. I got you a video, and I'll loop too if you guys want me to.
Hey, that's what we need.
If you need someone to
Need that
just
shooter
like
to
stand
space
on a
forward.
court and shoot threes,
Uh-huh.
I got you, bro.
Hey, I got y'all on the post. I'm good for 10 fouls. 10 fouls and 3 stops. That's what I got for you.
That's what we need. That's what we need.
Yo,
Yeah.
I just hit my head on the door from that laugh. My bad. But yeah, you
like
guys.
a concussion protocol.
Yeah, I'm in concussion protocol. But yeah, man, it's like, what do you think of the videography fraternity and who like some of the best in the state are? Who you think are some of the best that like people that have influenced you to be better?
Video wise,
Yeah.
I think honestly, I take it something from anyone. Like I'll see somebody either do some type of effect, some type of angle, catch video of a player or something, and I'll take anything I can from anybody. And I'll ask for advice from anybody. Now I like because what I do. I still think I do have a love and passion for basketball. So even right now, I'm watching some basketball highlights. I just always I'm always watching some type of basketball. So anybody that's making any type of content, I always try and check it out whenever I can. So if there's some type of anything I can learn from it, I'm definitely willing to do so.
There's a lot of mixtapes I see, but one of your mixtapes that I wish I could have made myself was that Jai Bailey one, because that joint was tough.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Appreciate it.
I was gonna say I shamelessly plugged his YouTube channel while you were talking earlier. It's right here. Go subscribe to that. Get him to 3.
Check it out.
You're very close to 3K, right?
Yeah. I need to keep.
We try and get like you, bro.
Man, y'all, man, the work that y'all put in a short period of time, I think is a lot of people don't even understand it. Like, cause y'all literally kind of started like a year ago.
Yeah. Oh, it's about to be the year anniversary.
Year in July 1st.
Yeah. It's as quick as y'all blew up. I mean, shoot, y'all put in so much work just. Cause I would always I would see this man, leak. I walk into class and then like later in the day see him at like a game and like it would be
you talking about me?
Yes.
No, real talk. We were literally a semester ago. We were roaming the same hallways, and then like one night I'll see him at like Farmville
Right.
North Pit or Rose. Like I see him anywhere. Like real talk. But dude, we appreciate that, man. We still try to get like you though. we still try to get like Benji though.
Man, y'all got it.
When you look at it, what has it been like? What do you think is kind of the difference between being one of the basketball players and then being one of the media guys now? I mean, because it's kind of like role reversal now. Before you used to try to get the media guys' eye, and now it's like, well, I'm one of the guys who
right
trying to get the eye on me.
So I think part of the responsibility I have is to try and give people platforms, because I know I was one of those guys that was like I just couldn't wait for my opportunity, and so there's definitely I think a lot of guys that deserve the opportunity, and then like I try to keep an open mind, because of course, like I know y'all know that y'all probably get mad messages and DMs from coaches and players, check me out, and there's like I feel like there's a line you got to do, because at the end of the day I think a lot of people don't understand is it. I mean, well, it's always gracious that people that will be reaching out to pay or something like that is always great, and thank you for that. But at the end of the day, you don't do it for that. But it's just like you can't check out. It's physically impossible to check out everybody, and then you definitely don't want to go somewhere that you feel like you waste your time. So
there's nothing like driving 3 hours and then you get nothing.
Yeah,
you see it. You see the vision. Absolutely, I definitely agree with all of that. Like you want to go where like people trust what your work. People
Yeah.
appreciate your work,
Mhm.
and I mean, I feel like there are a lot of places around here and in the Triangle that definitely appreciate your work. I'm sure.
Yeah. A lot of, like I said, a lot of the guys, scouts, families, and everything have definitely helped, I think, along the way, and definitely grateful for that. And I know there's always that argument about the media guys versus the guys that they need more sports guys in media, but I feel like the end of the day, I think there's an eye that just you have to have, and in reality that has to be there regardless. Because there's always the argument of, oh, somebody should have been able to, they should have played sports in order to. Some guys are just better at something else. Like I don't know. Like some guys are just better with the camera than they were on the court. Some guys are better.
Oh, I'm definitely better with the camera than I was in the court.
I mean, and there's nothing wrong with that. But there's like there's a thing that people make it seem like it's some kind of
I
weird.
would probably say that too, but I didn't get on the court or on the field at all, so I guess
Come on,
by,
man.
by default,
This
I'm
dude
better.
playing with Deuce Bello, man. He over here lying.
By default, I'm better with the camera. Man, I was a freshman and I was on JV. Look. But yeah, by default of me being the ultimate bench warmer at my school, I was always better with this. So, like, either way, I agree with you on that too. I think that there seems to be a divide, at least among those that are like, well, because you didn't play the sport, you're not good at covering sports or something.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. It's if it's a
Exactly.
passion you have, you should do it.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter if you're good at it or not. If you love it, why not?
You know, see, and here's the thing too. There's a lot of times where you get people who say that, but when you watch them play, they have, low IQ on the court.
Exactly.
You can be gifted physically, but
Exactly.
you got to have that
You
mental.
have to see the vision.
Exactly.
You gotta see the vision.
And there's been some notoriously bad either I don't want to say broadcasters, but I think judges of talent. I think because you got, I mean, home state, you got the greatest basketball player that ever played is running the Hornets, and I don't know what's going on over there.
Who
So
you telling?
it's kind of hard.
The Hornets got murdered by the murder Hornets.
Exactly. So it's like, I mean, you might have guys like Jordan who I guess are the best basketball player ever, but that doesn't mean by default he's going to be the greatest coach or owner or anything like that. It's a whole different world. And then you got guys like, I guess Daryl Morey, who's the Rockets owner, and he didn't play. They say he didn't play any sports, but he turned whatever they have going on into a pretty successful.
Yeah, that's true.
When you look at it, I mean, it's a good balance.
Right.
Daryl Morey, he came from more of a analytical
Exactly.
standpoint.
Yeah.
So you can look at an eyeball and understand, like, from an analytic standpoint in the NBA, what do I need? But I think it gets really tough when you talk about high school basketball identifying. Because you get coaches going to universities. Look at Patrick Ewing. He hasn't had the greatest tenure at Georgetown, but he was a great player. And then you have some who are like look at Phil Jackson. He was a role player to the T, and then got a chance to study under Tex, and then came one of the greatest coaches of all time. Like it's more about the passion and how much you put into learning the game, just in general.
Exactly.
Of course you talk about traveling with Garner Road. Who was probably one of your favorite Garner Road kids? Not the film or the watch, but just off the court.
You're gonna get him in trouble, Kai.
No, just one.
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't play anybody.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Man.
Well, what do you think?
Okay. Well, man, this is kind of tough. Is that the ever kind of thing? Okay.
Mm-hmm. It can be ever. It can be last year. It can be whatever.
I definitely say I'm definitely the closest. I think with some of the guys that are on that older team, like the Michael Carew and all them.
Yeah.
That
I know
like
you've
that's my
done
guy.
film with
Like
him.
so I definitely say that's my guy. But the Minions team, the recent 17U team, I think everyone on that team was just I think a character, and even the guys that played on that team young as when they were younger, like good, just all good guys. I think like Wes and um guys like Marcus and of course Dayron, Carson. Caleb, Jeremiah, all I think they're all pretty good guys. Even the guys that used to play like AJ. AJ, I think is that guy. That guy right there is a trip. AJ Thompson. That guy is a trip.
Yeah. You named a heck of. I mean that all those guys are now going to be playing college ball
Yep.
somewhere. So
Hey, I mean, that's got to be fun to cover. That's like watching the '96 Bulls.
Yeah.
well, I don't
Yeah.
put that pressure on. Well, at the same time they're kind of done playing, but still. Still.
They
I mean,
did have a nice team.
no, they were actually like ridiculous though. They were actually different. That team was just. But have you helped with college prospects getting film out to coaches yourself?
Yeah.
Like, have you helped Mike out with that?
Early on with some of the footage, I mean, there's been players that reference, oh yeah, I sent my coach your video, or could you send my coach some video that you have, and so there's been a lot of players I've done that for, or just kind of there's been coaches that hit me up and ask for footage, and I just send it for them that way, or just kind of thing, or could you check out this kid, and that would be maybe the reason I go to a game or something like that. So there's been some guys that that's what I do it for, and go out my way and definitely get some footage for that.
Also, Region 10, you played in it. Now you cover it. You had a lot more, I think, than either of us. And
Oh, no doubt. This man covered more junior college ball than anybody, I would say.
Can you talk a little bit about how good that league is, and what is it like now to cover it from having played in it?
Mm-hmm. So, as a foreign player, I'd say that there's probably some type of thought process that goes into D1, or not even D1, high major D1 or bust. I think that kids that are playing sports, they kind of have this mindset where if you don't go to the blue bloods, you're not. At the end of the day, do what you need to do in order to help yourself, as an athlete, a student, help your family, whatever you need to do. If you need to go to a JUCO to kind of learn your way or get a little bit more exposure or whatever you need to do that. If you need to go to a Division II or maybe a smaller Division I, a Division III NAIA, I feel like you just need to be able to go where you have to go, because at the end of the day, I feel like talent is anywhere. And you got a lot of guys that maybe could have played at this school and that school. Maybe they feel like they're a better fit here. Or maybe, and then you have plenty of guys that feel like they should have been at this level and are at this level wasting their time, and to be blunt about it. But there's definitely some hoopers in Region 10 and JUCO ball for sure.
Hey, free money is free money.
Exactly.
But
I hope a lot of kids.
I'm sorry, you asked something else, Benji? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, I hope a lot of kids understand that.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait for Region 10 ball this year myself.
Who was probably the toughest player that you played against when you were at Pitt Community?
Ooh, okay, I like this one.
Good.
You
played against some really good
He
players.
gave everyone buckets, so he controlled the game. You're just like, oh yeah, this guy should have been somewhere else.
We had a lot of guys that out of that conference that were pretty good, and that went places, went to good schools after that. I'm a little biased, but I'm just gonna have to say our point guard, Jaquan Manning. That's my guy. He's still bugging me about dropping the footage from the last time we played, but that like 2-time conference player of the year. I mean, the guy was literally a menace every time he went out there. He averaged like 20 something and 10. Like he literally was unguardable offensively, and when he was able to crank it up defensively and pick up, when we were in a slump or anything like that, I'd definitely say it'd probably be Quan. So just playing against him in practice, and even to this day, the dude was different. But let me think. If anybody off the top of my head, any team that we played, any player, I think there's that really stacked Lewisburg team they had my freshman year. Like they had a lot of talent on the team. A lot of guys that went D1 and D2 off that team.
Right. Now looking from a standpoint of media, and you're following these kids' careers, and you're following some of these kids, going off to these levels.
Mm-hmm.
How much do you think back on your playing days and kind of understand now why certain guys ended up where they did instead of where they could have been?
It really just takes either one good thing to happen or one bad thing to happen that can, I think, sway somebody's career in the sports world. So, maybe there's some guys that stopped working and maybe they peaked too early, or, maybe there's guys that worked extra hard and, reaped the benefits of that. So I just kind of seeing the littlest things, and then like there's a lot of guys I am really close with. I try to keep, when I am at their games, I try to like kind of sneak in and I'll let somebody know maybe after the game, like whatever. I'll talk to them after the game because I don't know. A lot of guys, they're really funny about the camera. They see the camera and try to do too much. I try to get in and get out. But I talk to a lot of guys and I'm like, hey, man, I saw you when you were fussing at your coach or whatever. And just people see that. Like, just so stuff like that, I kind of like try to point out to guys, or even, of course, congratulate them when they play well, or when I see them even doing little things like that. So that's I normally peek a lot of little stuff in the game, or from a lot of the players I see.
Right. Who was maybe your favorite player to shoot this year?
This year.
You've been a lot of places, and we were at the John Wall together, so you got that's a tough choice.
Dang, I forgot about the John Wall. Honestly, it was. I want to say Montverde, but it was. I didn't stay too long for a lot of those games because it was just unfair. They were literally too good. Like I knew
they're
good,
like
like
they're really
watching
high school basketball
like,
good. That's how good they were.
They were good.
And I don't mean that as offense. I mean that they're different.
Yeah. So it was fun watching them for a little bit, but like after like maybe a quarter or so, I was like, okay, I can't do this. It's just
they really ran everybody off the court, like
just too good.
And I was just like
the talent was there, but it was like the camaraderie they had. Like they were getting up and down the court, scoring in like 5-10 seconds, maybe off of 2 dribbles. Like it was just stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, this team is just too good.
Nah, that sequence they had against the Patrick School, remember that?
The
East Bay, Cade Cunningham against the East Bay, and then who was it? Was it Tariq Whitehead got a dunk, and then they tried to throw an alley-oop, and then Tariq throws it to Dayron for the dunk. I was like, dog, they're actually like,
it was ugly. It was getting really ugly.
Third-time Lakers, like real talk.
Getting really ugly. If I could say players other than that team, but to shoot, of course that Farmville squad was always entertaining to watch.
Absolutely. No, that's 3 good choices. T. Justin and Samaj are good choices.
Yeah, those guys did real big this year. Well, I'm not leaving anybody out. I don't want to. Because I liked watching, of course, everybody that I think I saw play.
Man,
Elijah Jameson too. A couple of the games I went to his year, like the battles I was able to see him play against Bobby and.
Because they're in conference, right?
Yeah, that's conference.
Yeah, Lewisburg and South Grand were in conference.
Yeah, so the games I was able to see them play were really good. And of course, like I said, with it being conference and schools not being too far apart.
Yeah.
On the other side of the But yeah.
Did you ever get a chance to see them? Did you ever get a chance to see them against Greenville Central?
Who? Lige Jameson?
Yeah.
Lewisburg versus yeah. I saw them play. That was when the game I went to. I think Elijah had like 41 or 42, and then Terrence had like 37, 36, something like that. There's additionally Terrence has a running mate. He went for like 28 as well, and they're gonna be good again because they had
Gramble's got a good team
that
around
same
Terrence.
time. Huh?
Yeah. Gramble's got a good team around
Yeah.
Terrence. They're gonna be right back in the conversation, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
next year. So
1A basketball
Lewisburg
is
too.
fun, man.
Mm-hmm.
1A basketball got some underrated talent, man.
Oh yeah.
Even though I know Elijah and Terrence are underrated, but
Right. They definitely made their case this year.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Any other great games what are some of the best games you got to see? If you could name one or two.
Of course, some of the North Raleigh games, like I was able to see the couple Athens Drive games. Like there was a game that I think they went to like double overtime, and AJ Thompson hit a little buzzer beater.
Yeah, I remember seeing those highlights. Those were good.
That was a pretty good game, and the crowds are always really into it. The Panther Creek games versus Green Hope, those are always really good with the crowd. And then I think it was a really good game was the Sanderson and Millbrook game. I think that was a game that actually shocked me. I didn't think it was gonna go the way it went. That was a really good game.
Yeah, Sanderson hung in there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think too, Sanderson's got 2 guards going to JCC, so guard play is always important in high school basketball.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was just waiting on their commitments.
Yeah,
But,
absolutely.
they were really good. I think that team, that Sanderson team, maybe on paper wasn't ridiculous. You know, they were all pretty small, but they really played with a lot of heart and they played together. Like they were really good. I think the underrated team this year.
Absolutely. Guy, you got any other ones for him?
Nah, I think that's it, man. I think we're gonna let you get back to whatever you got going on this Sunday. You know, we all trying to work and keep content flowing out.
Sir.
Absolutely, Benji. You're one of my favorite videographers, so keep up the good work.
Appreciate you.
Thank you for coming on the show. And one more thing, promote all of your social media so people know where to find you and subscribe and do all that good stuff.
Instagram, hoops.hq. Twitter. My old Twitter got suspended. You can check it out. HQ Hoops is the new one, and of course Hoops HQ on YouTube. And if you like to follow me, it's Lil_Benji on Instagram, and sometimes Twitter Benji_man with like 4 A's. Every once in a while, I'll give you some entertaining content up there as well. So.
Now I gotta have introduction. I should have started with the introduction you start with on some of your videos. You know, what is up? I'm messing with you, man. Benji, thank you so much. Of course, you can find myself and Kai on social media and WJG Sports. We're trying to get to 1,000 YouTube subscribers too, so we really appreciate your help on that.
Check them out.
And yeah, that's it. Episode 52, Just Like Brothers Podcast. We will see you again next time. Peace out.